Hey everyone, hello again. Darren Connell here. Welcome to my studio. Welcome to a brand new series. This is very exciting. I enjoy getting to start something new. Now this bit here, me, hi. This is live now. This is on the 23rd of January 2018. I'm recording this live before the series starts. The series itself, the one that you chose in the public vote, in the Patreon, not quite as public vote, public to you guys. The series was actually recorded. I just had a look now because I have to edit these videos, and the end thank you card that has to be put on each video live as it goes out so that it is accurate to the people who are patrons at that particular time. And I went to have a look and there were hardly any names on it. I thought, wow, when was this recorded? Because I do thank you cards live as I record the thing, but then if they don't go out straight away, if they're used at some point in the future, then I re-edit them and overlay an up-to-date thank you card with more names on it. And the thank you card on this series had hardly any names on it, so I checked the date when it was recorded. This series was recorded in December, not December just gone, but December 2016. So a year and a little bit ago, this series was recorded. And it's really quite funny because the project itself, the paint job, the commission, the end result that we get is brilliant, and it's exactly the same as all the other stuff. You can tell that I haven't quite got the process down of, you know, how I am on camera. How do I have my settings when I go to the overhead camera? Where is it? I'm just not quite as fluent as I was with maybe the Clint Eastwood one or the recent final few Buffy videos that we're getting done live, because I've had a bit more practice now. I've been doing this, I've been doing the tutorials a little bit longer now, so I'm in more of a routine. I know what I'm doing. I know how things should be. I know where I work and where cameras should be and stuff like that. On this series now, you can tell I'm still a little bit new to it, which is funny for me watching them back. Also, my beard is a lot shorter. Hilariously, in the videos, I'm going, oh my god, my beard's so long, because it was still growing at that point. But it's like, my beard's up here somewhere. And this has been cut a load of times, so my beard was new to me and was sort of slowly growing out, and I'm like, oh no, it's too long. So the poll that I did to give you the choice of Biggie Smalls or the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, you chose Biggie Smalls, or the majority of you chose Biggie Smalls. To those of you who got what you wanted, congratulations, you're going to enjoy this one. It's going to be really useful for anybody who ever has to paint a black character in the future. This is really interesting and shows how to make black skin look alive and realistic with the various tones. Some bits are darker, some bits are lighter, some bits are a bit more red. You'll see all of that we do to paint a head that doesn't just look like someone has painted brown paint on a face, which I've seen. You see some commissions, you see some repaints, and they just look a bit chocolatey. It's like just plain brown. This series will show how to paint black people and make them look alive in the same way as we do with all of the other commissions that we do. But this is interesting because we don't get to do it that often. For whatever reason, it doesn't happen that often, so this is useful for the times when it is needed. If you voted for the Peter Capaldi head, I'm sorry, not this time, but I will probably do Peter Capaldi immediately after this series. And this is a short series. It's only 11 videos. It's quite a short one. We did it quite quickly, but got a really good result. So I keep picking up my coffee as if I'm going to have a sip, and then realise I'm talking, so I can't, and I put it back down. Right, so I'm going to let you watch this series, the first video in this series. I think there's about 10 minutes of talking in the video where I'm just explaining what's happening and what we're doing, and then we get into the painting. And like I said, 10 or 11 videos. It's quite short, but it's really interesting. It's not 52 videos like Clint Eastwood, so it should be okay. Sorry, I was looking at my camera there because I saw a delay on what I was saying, and then the video was a bit set back. I'm not sure, maybe the computer slowed down or something. I'm forgetting what I'm saying now. My brain's just slowly going psh. Okay, Biggie Smalls, here we go. I have got a lot of painting to do today. I'm still filming everything that I'm recording, so as well as Biggie Smalls and the Peter Capaldi one, which will probably come next, there are lots of other series to come, some that are all ready to go and some that I'm in the middle of recording. So we've got a lot of stuff to do, and I will try and make it interesting and varied, partly for people who just watch them because they like watching someone paint, and also for those who actually use them to improve their painting skills, or just to pick up the odd hint or tip here or there because they do resin kits or they paint figures. You know, like where is it? I'm trying to point here. It's hard doing it in reverse. My little Peter Capaldi figure there. Things like that, 6-scale figures. I know some of you use bits of information from these videos to make those paintings better, or I know there's some of you who have recently started doing garage kits, resin glue together kits, a bit like Clint Eastwood. And seeing Clint was useful in that you were able to see how to paint leather and sheepskin and fabric and cotton and all of those things, as well as a face. So I will try and keep it varied so all of you get something. If you've got suggestions on what I should do, let me know. A lot of it is guided by what commissions I get sent, because all of this work at the moment is commission work that I'm filming. Now at some point in the future I may start painting things for you guys, just stuff that I've chosen to paint. That's not a commission for anyone. I may choose something because I know it's going to be interesting, and I will maybe buy a resin kit or a bust or something and paint it purely because I know it'll be interesting to you guys, and I'll probably do that at some point. Right now it's all stuff that's been sent to me to be upgraded. So the first of these, Biggie Smalls, filmed a year and a month ago, maybe 13 months. Forgive this, I've got a really itchy nose. The moustache has been tickling my nose all day. Oh, okay. So Biggie Smalls was filmed 13 months ago, so forgive any bits where it looks like it's not running as smoothly as it does now. I know the screen when I'm painting that I have in this corner normally, like the picture of me when I'm painting, when I've got the overhead camera on, this main bit, and then I've got me in a little corner down here. I think on this stuff, at this point, I had that screen a lot smaller. This was before I realised, you know what, I can make that bigger and still it'll be okay. So that's a bit smaller, but you can see me, you can hear me, everything's the same, it's just a little bit less smooth, probably. But the result is good. So I'm going to go because I'm already talking 10 minutes. And there's 10 minutes in the video where I start. Okay, look, I am going. Right, see this? I'm drinking coffee. I can't talk anymore. I have to go now. Okay, bye. Enjoy the series and thanks for being here, and comment. Like and comment on these things, because I don't know who's watching. There's like 1 or 2 of you who like the videos, or, click like, and one mainly who leaves comments. There's a few who occasionally leave comments, but let me know, because otherwise I don't know anyone who's watching. I can't tell. Right, enjoy the series. I will speak to you soon. That's it. And as the music gets all loud and dramatic, bye. Hello everyone. Right, let's have a look at this and see what we've got. So we've got the head sculpt here, our Biggie Smalls. That comes with a shoulder and neck and chest part. That gives him the correct size, the correct profile. Comes with a couple of hands. One's got a microphone, one's just a hand. Comes with a cigar. Comes with a hat. The hat is actually soft plastic. Everything else is hard plastic, like a resin or something. Comes with sunglasses. Got to be careful with these because those arms do bend. So they look like that. And they will be painted to look like the proper ones that he wears. So that's it. The little white spots that you can see here are just filler that I've used. There were holes in the cast and there's a seam down the back, and I've used a craft knife and smoothed that down so there's an even. Hang on, just realised I'm not in the bottom corner. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Right. There was a seam running down the back, and I used a craft knife and evened out those 2 halves and filled in the holes. Did that on a couple of things. I've given it a coat of primer. I did the filling in after the primer, so that's why you can still see that. That'll be fine to paint over though. I've given everything a coat of primer and it's pretty much ready to go. So we'll get on and we'll see how we can do. I've already sanded down the sunglasses because the frames are supposed to be smooth and shiny, and the lenses obviously are supposed to be smooth and shiny. Now everything was, or these I should say, everything else looks like it was just normal sculpted and cast. The sunglasses look like they were 3D printed. They might have been 3D printed and then cast, but either way they've got that 3D printing signature where there's lines across everything, and you can't have a series of lines on the front of a lens. So I sprayed it with a coat of primer and used a very smooth sandpaper to try and sand it smooth. It should be good enough. I feeling it feels smooth enough. Won't really tell until I start painting it, but it should be okay. Now the interesting thing about this, what's going to be interesting to follow this series, is that this is painting black skin. Not something I've done much of. There's not that many characters that people seem to collect. Maybe that's a thing that needs to change. But it'll also just be interesting to watch me do, because it'll be a different process. I mean, it's sort of the same. I'm essentially building up in layers. I'm doing all that exactly the same, but whereas normally I would start with that sort of orangey peach skin colour and then dry brush light on top and then go over with a wash of leather brown and then build up with dark and light layers. With this, it's going to be completely different, and also I don't really know how I'm going to do it, because the last time I painted a black character was years ago, and it was Will Smith. I think it was, someone sent me a Will Smith head and it was years ago, and it was an okay sculpt. It wasn't like the level that you get these days, but it sort of looked like him. I painted it and I remember the pictures, but I can't remember how I did it. So We're going to make it up as we go along, but that's how I do it, and that's how you should learn to do it, because that's how you get things done. And like I always say, there's no mistakes. You do something, you don't like it, fix it, do it again. So I've got some pictures up on my screens of the guy, and I'm going to move some things around. I need to just move around. Let's see. I need that window over there so I can have access to those pictures. And that picture, actually no, I need that there because sorry about this. I've got some pictures, but I've also got up the window that shows me what my camera is seeing, and I need to know that because that lets me know what you guys are seeing, both from this camera and also from this camera when I'm talking to you. So I need to be able to see the window that is recording the video as well as the photos, which is why I've got 2 screens. I could probably do with 3 screens, but that's slightly overkill. But let's get on with this. I've got all of those heads set to one side, so the head and the shoulders and the hands, all of the pieces I mean, so I can easily pick up one. Now we're going to try and do this one a little bit quicker than normal because I've got a few things to do. I'm slightly behind on a few commissions and I want to get them done and sent out. I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize the quality of it, because I will never do that. That's like my main rule. Things don't get sent out unless I am fully happy with them. But because there's so many pieces on this, there's a head, there's the shoulders and chest, there's the hat, there's the sunglasses, there's the cigar, there's the left hand, there's the right hand, and a microphone, if you count those separately. There's a lot of separate pieces, so when I do one thing on the head, one layer, and I need it to dry, and I would normally wait, I can put that down and pick up something else. So I should be able to keep working on a roll here, and hopefully we'll get through it nice and quick. Now, nice and quick is a relative term. It's not going to be done in an hour or two. It's still going to be a long process, but hopefully it's not going to be forever and ever and ever, because I kind of need this done. Okay, so I've got some pictures up. I've got some dark umber, I've got some black, I've got some chocolate brown, I've got some leather brown. To start off with, they're going to be the colours that we're going to use. Later on we're going to probably bring in some tanned flesh, we're going to bring in some, just looking at the pictures, some bright red maybe, probably some deep red, maybe some yellow. I'm looking at the different skin colours and I'm thinking how I might make, because his lips are different colours, the end of his nose are different colours, his ears, the same as with all characters from wherever they are in the world. Everyone's got different colours mixed in. There's no just skin colour, and it's the same here. It's just we'll be going about it a slightly different way. So I'm looking at some pictures and I'm trying to see, because I'm doing most of the characters that I do, I sort of know what colour I start with and then I work from there. Here I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to start this. Do I go dark and then work light, or do I go light and then work dark? I think I'm going to mix those two together and then we'll go light on top of that. So chocolate brown and umber. Running short on umber by the looks of it. Have I got another one? Oh, I've got another one. I didn't even realise that. I've been using this one for ages and it's been running out. I've been thinking, oh no, I need some more umber. I've actually got a full one there. What I want to do though, because I'd like to not waste it if I can cut away all of this thick dried paint at the top. You can't even see what I'm doing here. without cutting my fingers off. I can cut that away and pull out. Hey, there you go. That just means I can see inside a little bit better. I can put that in the bin without dropping it on the floor. Dun dun dun. Get some kitchen roll, because I forgot to do that before. Okay. There we go. Right, so I'm going to mix some chocolate brown, I'm going to mix some umber. I've got a fresh one there when I need it. Let's see. There's a hair over there on my desk and it's really annoying me and I can't pick it up. There you go. Go in the bin. And I need a sip of coffee. I don't have much coffee left, but once I'm painting, I shouldn't care. Okay, so itchy nose. What brush do I use? I will use that brush. Why not? Okay. So let's go on. What can we see? We can see all of that stuff, but not that stuff. I'll move that forward. I can tilt the camera down maybe a little bit. Okay, so that's there. So when I'm working, that's about there. I hold it up close. Yep, that works. Okay. So now you can see the palette when I'm mixing, and you can see what I'm doing. Excellent. Let's get on with this. So, pile of chocolate brown down. Well, you can't even see that on the... There you go, chocolate brown. Maybe I should start doing that, lifting up the palette so you can see what I'm doing. Because it doesn't really light up very well when it's down there and it's out of focus. I'm just mixing in some umber into the chocolate brown because I want it dark, but I don't want it as dark as umber. I want it sort of medium dark. Oh, great. Put paint all over the side of my palette, and I know now that at some point that's gonna go on my fingers because it just is. Never mind. Right. Because I can already tell just by looking at the pictures that I've got on the screen that this is going to take quite a few layers in the way that it normally does, because there's going to be a base colour that goes down, and we'll do that. We'll try and do it in less layers than I normally do, just to make it, because I normally do loads and loads of really thin layers to start off with. If I did it with an airbrush it would be done much quicker, but I don't. I like to hand paint everything, the entire process, and to make sure that everything is smooth at the start I do it really, really thin, but that means you do loads of layers and that slows it down. So I'm going to try and do it slightly not as thin as normal, but also thin enough that it goes on nice and smooth. A little bit more thinner in there. Okay, so that's that colour, which is a mix of those two. Okay, now because this isn't on a stick, I couldn't think of an easy way to attach a stick to that. I'm probably just going to do wherever I can without getting the paint on my fingers, and then I'll come back to it and fill in the rest. So I'll start on the back just to see if it goes on okay. And I can't really tell how it's going on the hair bit, because the hair is the way it's been sculpted is sort of rough and spiky, so you can't tell if it's going on smoothly or anything because the surface is really rough itself. But soon enough we get to the things like the ears. I'm going to hold that side of the face and then work on this side. Could probably do with some new brushes at some point. So this is going on nice and thin. I'm just going to go round the eye. Some of it's going to go on the eye. That's fine. I'm going to paint over it anyway. I should probably invest in a hairdryer at some point for this room, because then I could, I mean it'd be loud, I'd have to press mute on the microphone, but I could dry things off quicker when I needed to, like now, so I could carry on without needing a break. And I keep holding the thing close to my eyes like this, and I can see what I'm doing because I'm looking underneath my glasses so I can see it really close, but I always forget that the camera is here, so I've got to hold it sort of further away from me than I normally do, which is fine. I've just got to remember to do it. Oop, bit of hair come off the brush there. Go away, piece of hair, you're not welcome. Okay, and I've got to try and put this back on the stick that it was on. Oh, this didn't work out very well at all. I really should have glued it to a stick or something. Would have been better. I'm going to hold this piece at the back there and do the front, and then I'll go back and do the back. Now once I've done this a few layers, any brush marks will be gone as always. They will be smoothed out, they will be covered over. I mean, we do what we can to not get any, but as long as the paint is thin enough, you don't worry about it, because when it's wet it will even out as it's drying. As long as it's wet, it will sort of settle down and flatten itself out, because it's liquid and that's what it does. If you keep brushing it though while it's drying, what will happen at some point, you will end with, it's going to be sort of thick paint, and if you're still brushing it, you will end up brushing brush strokes into it that set as brush strokes while it's drying. So you kind of want to, even though you might be thinking, oh, there's brush marks on it, as long as the paint is wet enough and you know they're not too ridiculous and hideous, then leave it alone and it'll be fine when you go over it with another layer, he says as he brushes over something. Okay, so that'll do for that first coat. I've got to obviously go back and do that bit at some point, but for now that's fine. Okay, so little hand, give him a hand. Okay, I will hold this by the thumb and then I can do everything else and go back and do the thumb. I probably should have thought in advance of a way to stick everything onto sticks, and then I could have done everything without having to do this, holding it by the fingers and going back and filling in the gaps, because I would have just been holding it on a stick and it would have been painted as normal. But I was in a rush to get this started and to get this done, and I didn't think that far ahead, which I should have done, but I didn't, so that's fine. Just making sure I've got paint all on the inside of the fingers and everywhere. I'll go back and do the thumb, but that's cool. That's everything else done. And I'm just sticking these on the side. I've just got some cocktail sticks, and I've got them stuck in a piece of sponge on the side, and I'm just sticking them on the cocktail stick and letting them rest. So on this one actually works okay because I can hold the microphone here, paint the entire hand, and that works quite good. So on this bit, the microphone is the stick, and I can do everything as I wanted to. Microphone saves the day. Oh my god, I'm hungry. What time is it? 2:30 in the afternoon. Oh, that's why I'm hungry. I've not had any lunch. Doesn't matter. Busy. Got things to do. Things to paint. Things to paint. Videos to make. Busy, busy. You know, it's a good thing about having music on in the background. When I forget to talk and I just concentrate on the painting, at least we're not sitting in silence, because that would be boring. Okay, that is that hand mostly done. Oh, the first coat at least. Just touched a wet paint thing. Cigar. Never really thought about a cigar. I didn't download any reference pictures of a cigar. I will before we finish. I mean, I can guess what it should look like, but always work from a reference, because you might say, well, I know what that is, and you sort of paint it a certain way. And I know some people do that when they're painting faces, because they, you know, in their heads, they know what a face looks like, and you do, but you will always miss things that you don't see if you're looking at reference. You'll miss colours, you'll miss subtleties and variations on skin or eyes or whatever it is that you're doing. So always have a reference. It's not copying, it's not cheating, it's just making sure that the thing you're doing is going to turn out the best that it can. Now, I've painted all those pieces and they are obviously not dry yet, and I can't pick them up again, which is annoying, because I could really do is put on a second layer. This is where an airbrush would be quicker. If I did an airbrush for these first layers, it would just be brushed on, 1 or 2 layers, and it would be done. It would be easier, but I don't get paid for easier. I get paid for hand painted. I like doing hand painted. I like the fact that every single bit of paint on a thing was done with my hand, with a brush. So like a bit of a personal touch that you don't get on some other things. And I like that. So I will carry on doing that. I will also have some more coffee. The last of my coffee. Oh, why is the coffee always gone? Okay, sorry, I was quoting Jack Sparrow there. Except he says, why is the rum always gone? I was talking about coffee. Right, I am going to look at his... I keep touching the things with the brown paint on, because I'm an idiot. Right, I'm going to move them away a little bit. Right, his hat. Now the colour that I've been shown a picture of a hat that he's wearing that the client wants, and it's sort of, it's brighter than that, but that's going to be a good base layer for it, a good base coat. I really should have primed under there as well. I didn't. I clearly put it on a thing, sprayed primer on it, and forgot to go back and spray the underneath. I'll see if the paint goes on okay. Put that there for now. Just going to shake up this. I'll hold the back there the same way as I did the others. You know what? I think I'm just going to take this straight from the pot, because I'm brushing this on, not dry brushing it, but it's not a thin wash. It's a textured finish on the hat, and I don't want to have to do a million layers. So I just take some raw paint. It's a bit thicker, but because I'm brushing it on in the same style as when you dry brushing stuff, I'm not trying to do smooth brush strokes here. I'm just rubbing it on almost. I can get away with just using the raw thick paint from the tub, pot, jar, whatever it's called, which honestly makes it a bit easier because of the rough surface. You can't really see any brush marks or not, which is good because it means I have less to worry about. Blue hat, because all I'll have to do is go back and dry brush some highlights on top of that, and that'll give me the exact colour that I'm after. And this blue that's on will form the base, and that will create the shadows in the fabric, and that's going to look rather good. Okay, so I'll put that down, let that dry, wash the brush again. I could just chuck the brush in the water for speed and pick up a different brush, and I do that sometimes, but for now I just feel like cleaning this straight away, because to start with I'm not sure if I'm using it again. I actually don't think I'm going to for the next bit, but also I just feel like cleaning my water. I actually need to get more water. Look at that, dirty paint water. Okay, that should do. We're having a frame rate problem. No, it's mostly working. Bit jittery. Not sure why. Shouldn't be jittery. I've got nothing running. Let me just check that's not. The computer's backing up in the background. I didn't ask you to do that, computer. Okay, I have paused the backup. That should solve that problem. I'm going to put that lid on because we don't want paint to dry out, even though they're only like £1.50 per pot. When you buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24 or 25 of them, it adds up. So put the lid on and try to make them last. I normally use up a pot like that umber I've been using a lot of, and that's pretty much down to the bottom of the pot, and I will be scraping that off the bottom before I go to the next fresh pot of umber. But sometimes if you don't use a colour as much, the paint will dry out and become unusable before you get to the end. And that always sort of feels like I'm throwing things away, like I'm wasting stuff and I'm throwing money away. And just like that, I'm wasting paint. Someone made that paint to be used and I've let it sit there and dry and I have to throw it away now. And it just feels like a horrible waste. I hate wasting anything. So I always try to make them last as long as possible. And in theory, I should have these lids on now. Now that I'm actually saying this and I've got two sitting there with the lids off. I was wondering how quick the other stuff would dry in case I wanted to go straight back in. And sometimes I will have a load of lids open and I'll just sort of be dipping in and out of pots. And that's fine when you're doing that. But if you know you're going to be done with something for a while, put the bloody lid back on. Okay. Glasses. Put that brush down. I want... all of my brushes are starting to go a bit curly on the ends. So I foresee in the near future a trip to my art shop supply place. Art shop supply place? Art shop. My art supply place. Store. The place where I get my things. To buy some new stuff. And I'll basically go in and I'll grab one of the baskets and I'll just go through the paint section and go, I want chocolate brown, I want umber, I want bright red, and I'll just pick out all the ones that I want. And then I basically go to the paintbrush section and I always get emails and messages on YouTube and stuff, people asking me, what paints do you use, what brushes do you use? And I don't have a set thing. A lot of these brushes are of this shape at the moment and they are made by Royal and Langnickel. Sound like a 18th century solicitors or something. But that's just because that's what the art shop sells. I basically go there and they have walls of brushes. I usually veer towards the cheaper ones because as long as it does the job, I don't care. If I can get the same result with something, then that's fine with me. And I just go for go through all the brushes and go for the cheaper sections first and then work my way up. And I look through them all and I'll just be picking them up and looking at them and sort of pretend painting with them on my fingers to see how soft are they, how do the brushes splay out, are they good for details, are they good for different things. And I'll try different things. I'll just pick up different brushes and I'll be doing this. And that's how I choose my brushes. And I just think, okay, I'm going to need a fairly big brush for putting down colour, like what I've just been doing with that one. That's good for just getting a base layer of colour down. As you can see, that's the side on view. That should really be like that, flat. But it's like that because it's old and it's been used a lot. When they get old, they get sort of, I still use them, but they get put to one side and used for anything rough. If I'm just brushing something on and I don't care what it does to the brush, then I'll use those, and I'll use the fancy brushes for detailed things where I need a nice clean tip. And I'll think, okay, I want a brush that does that, and I'll want a brush that's great for just dry brushing, messy stuff on, and I'll want one that's quite small and good for doing eyeballs maybe, or one that's a little bit bigger and that's good for doing details on noses where it doesn't have to be a fine point but it's still got to be quite small. And I'll just choose, even though I've got a load of brushes here, that's because some of them are older. I will usually do everything with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 brushes maybe. I could do it with less. It'll probably be with about 4 brushes. A big one to put down the main colours, one for doing dry brushing, a smaller one for doing details and cheek colours and basic eyebrow shades, just like the generic brown that goes at the bottom or something. And then a fine pointy one that's good for doing eyeballs or hairs, like individual eyebrow hairs or beard stubble hairs when I paint them on. I do stubble with a few washes and different layers of just very thin, very, very, very thin colour. But I also paint on individual hairs on top just to give that look of a beard. And that's a super fine pointy one. And that's kind of it usually when I've got a good set. Which is not at the moment because they're all starting to go a bit curly on the ends. But they're okay for now. What was I doing? Sunglasses, black. So these are, let's see, it's difficult holding these. Okay, so black shiny lenses. I actually think they're supposed to be grey, dark grey tinted lenses, and I'm not sure whether to try and create that look or not. It might just mess things up if I try and do that, because when someone's wearing them with their dark grey tinted lenses, the lenses essentially look black on the face, apart from being able to see through and see maybe the eyeballs very carefully. And I don't want to be trying to paint fake eyeballs because that'll just look stupid. So I might just do them dark. I might do them very, 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 very dark grey, almost black, and then like black at the top. That should work. The frames are black, but this bit, I can't be bothered changing the focus. This bit here that's above my nail is a fancy bright gold buckle thing on the arms, and that will be painted gold and shiny. So when I'm painting, I will just avoid that bit, so I'm not doing too many layers. I'll paint black everywhere else and avoid that bit, and then I'll go back with that and do the gold separately. So for now, I'm just going to get some black. Let me see, is this brush okay? Quite hard. All my brushes feel hard now. I might do. Okay, so let's get some black. Can we see that? Yep. Get some black. Put it on there. Get some thinner. And because this is quite small and there's a fair amount of detail and it's got to look shiny when it's done, I'm probably going to do more thin layers on this as opposed to like what I did with the hat, or what I'm trying with the skin, where I'm just trying to do it with less layers than usual to speed things up. I think with this, because it's in the end this has to look shiny. I mean, I can go back with some fine sandpaper and smooth things off if I need to, but if I do more thin layers on this one, it will just help not have any brush marks or anything. Now, the problem is now I've painted the arms and I can't hold the arms like I really need to paint the rest of it. That's fine, I can hold the fancy gold bit. So I'm just doing this. It's going to be grey because I'm doing it thin, so you'll be able to see the primer through it. But that's fine, I know that. We'll come back and we'll paint another layer. Main thing is I just want to get it on and get it done and get an even covering. And then we go back and do another cover. Now I'm going to have to turn my hand over to do this bit, to paint the inside of the frames and the lenses. That's okay for now. I've knocked bits off the arm where I've been holding it, but that's okay. We can go back to that. And because it's quite wet still liquidy, that those brush marks will just sort of go and spread out and be nice and even. Chuck that in there for now. I could really do with sticking them in upright to let the paint even out, but I've painted the arms. I probably should have left those arms separate so I could paint the top, put it down to dry like that, so like stick it in some sponge, let it dry, then hold that bit and paint the arms and do the opposite. Yeah, that's fine. Although I do want to just spread that a bit out where it's pooling a little bit, and I don't want you to do that. I don't mind bits of different thicknesses because they spread out, because they're so thin they'll dry. When the liquid dries they even out, but there was just like a thick blob of it in the middle, and I was a little bit worried, especially because the front of a pair of glasses, a pair of black shiny sunglasses, you're going to see, and if one area dried with some paint that was thicker than the rest, it might look uneven, and I could fix it. I just get some super fine sandpaper. I've got a sheet of the stuff. I've got like a big square of the stuff. This is just a little triangle that I cut off when I was working on another thing. I can't remember what it was. So I could sand it down and repaint it. That's no problem, but it's just easier if you don't have to. Okay, I've been going for 40 minutes, so for this first video I'm going to call it a break because the paint, the brown paint that I put on before, hasn't dried yet. I can see it's still very wet, so I'm not going to. Hang on, let me change cameras and go to the main camera. Here you go. So to do a second coat I'm going to have to wait longer, and I've sort of done everything else and I can't do anything until that dries now. So for this video we'll call that's going to be fine. 40 minutes is long enough, and we'll come back on the next video and we'll carry on from there. That's it for now. Nothing else to say. I can go and make myself another coffee and get some lunch. I'm hungry. I'll clean my brushes before I go down though. Oh my god, look how long my beard is. It's so long. I do need a haircut though. Oh my god. Look at the state of that. Alright, I'm going. I'm talking about my hair now. It's ridiculous. I'll see you on the next video. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being a patron. I'll see you soon.